Hi, my name's Rod. I've been volunteering for nearly 3 years now with the Citizens Advice Bureau. It's a part where I volunteer as a part of Liverpool, which has quite a large part of deprivation and so on. People struggling with making ends meet in various forms, quite a high degree of unemployment and so on. So it's an interesting role, and you can meet every aspect of people's everyday issues, which both affects them both personally and in their family and employment, financial matters, whatever. I like doing it because a certain amount of nosiness and interest in other people, but also after years of working, it's a way of paying a little bit back to society, which has treated me not too badly, and it's quite nice to pay a bit back. And it's very satisfying when someone comes in with a problem to help them to come to a solution that helps to improve their outlook and their financial situation. Well, there's been, the course is specifically designed to help people budget, that's the thing, and understand the management of their own money. Because an awful lot of people, regrettably, have difficulties in that format. And the pressures that we can see are going to become worse, particularly payday loans are a huge pressure, and people understanding the consequences of their actions when they take out loans or whatever. Debt in itself is not a bad thing, so long as it can be managed. It's only bad when it can't be managed. And the course that we've just been on, it's been a 5-day course, and it's been specifically designed to help us to understand how we might help clients understand various elements. 2 aspects of it. One, income maximisation, which can be simply seeing if they're getting right benefits, if they're on benefits or whatever. Perhaps if they're able to do a little bit of extra work with their employer, but also avoid paying more than is required for services. Flavour of the month at the moment is using comparison sites, perhaps in car insurance or electricity bills or whatever. But a lot of people don't understand what's involved in looking, what the information they need to put in to draw out the right conclusions. And through the course, it's demonstrated that there are ways of showing people the sort of information they can input to draw the right information and answers out. Well, the course is split up, obviously over 5 days. You would be split up into a number of topics in morning and afternoon sessions and so on. And it was reasonably general in their approach to us because obviously as volunteers we come from different walks of life with different levels of knowledge and experience and so on. So there were no assumptions at the beginning that we either knew nothing or knew it all, because nobody is either. We always knew a little bit. Part of the course and the way it was approached was to sort of draw out and use what our own knowledge is. We had an afternoon, for example, using a computer, looking at 1 or 2 of the comparison sites, putting in mock examples. Obviously, flavour of the month is electricity, so we were looking at fuel bills and so on, putting in figures and so on, and getting answers. So we had a list of the best and the worst and so on, and which ones that you could present to a client to say this is your opportunities of how to do it. That would then lead on to, say, with the fuel, you get reductions if you pay by bank. So another session would including banking. So some people don't have a bank account. Yeah. So there are various other options that they can open up a basic post office account, for example. So that would assist. So there were little sessions on that. And that was the sort of thing that was drawn out and spent some time during the course. Because people like myself who are quite used to handling money through a bank, you may not be aware that there's a basic post office account. So they did try to cover the things so that we didn't go away thinking we knew it all and fulfill the gaps that we might have. My understanding is that first-time tenants will have a problem or possible problem handling their money. And one of the things that we certainly learned, that because they've had some experience in the past We need to discuss with them what those experiences are so we can tailor any help, advice, information that we give them so that they can manage the money in a new environment. The pressures will be for things to be paid, as we said, electronically through the banks or whatever, and not actually handing over the old-fashioned paper money. And to a lot of people that would be a huge change. And I would think that in general, is an area that, for those of us who've perhaps grown up with that and are comfortable with it, we have to learn to appreciate there are people, and a good number of people, who don't have any experience in that. And I would think possibly that's the biggest area. Because of the sort of people that we're talking about, the people that are the general marketplace for social landlords, if you like, they will probably tend to be reliant to a greater or lesser degree on some level of benefit. So certainly within the Citizens Advice Bureau, where I'm based, we do spend a lot of time on helping people get their benefits, the ones that they're properly entitled to, not cheating the system in any way, but they're entitled to. So certainly that will help, because there are people who, through no fault of their own, through their own lack of knowledge, will not be aware that they're entitled to certain things, and it will be important to draw their attention to that. Well, through previous interviews with clients, which we do on a regular basis, you gradually build up a picture of letting the client tell their story, let them sort of show you their areas where they require help. And a lot of what we do, in any case, is signposting and having an awareness of other advice bodies, charities or whatever. And so you generally pick up where you can point people to get further and more specific and expert help and assistance. I mean, in the end, any system of help and assistance that's given people has to have an end result, I would think. And one of the clear objects and aims is to enable people to look after themselves. You could say empower them to look after themselves. If they're not knowledgeable on using a computer, we could perhaps point them in a direction where they could learn more how to use it. It may be older people not even understanding how to use a mouse, or it could be other people not fully understanding comparison sites, for example, or even simply how to use it to go to a specific site. Could be the post office for a basic post office site, how they would open an account. And so long as they know and feel happy to find that information out for future use in other ways, then we've done some good service. I'm a person slightly, I suppose I have a slight nosiness and enjoy listening to other people's issues and so on. And in a practical way, it's very satisfying to help them. So during the course, we've spent some time on using the computer, how that can help, looking at different systems of banking and what have you. And it just broadens my knowledge, other people's knowledge of what's available out there, and knowing that somewhere, with a bit of patience, there will be a solution. And I think in the end, that's probably the most satisfying part. Everybody comes to a course with a slight degree of apprehension about what little we don't know. Yes, it confirms that you don't know everything. So, in a word, it just increases your knowledge, I think. Increases the awareness that there is more knowledge out there that you don't know. And it's up to you, if you want to take it further, to use that and go further with it. The training has covered quite a number of aspects of it. We've mentioned a few of the banking and the using of the computer and so on. Issues regarding debt, the type of debt people get in. And again, we've all been around, but we have certain assumptions that we know things. And one of the purposes of a training session is to draw out of you knowledge that you perhaps didn't realise that you had. Chatting with other people and then discussions during the training, you're learning things. And it's building up a block of knowledge, experience, both your own and other people, and seeing how that can be relevant to be used in a specific area that we're talking about. And I think that's a good purpose for a course over a number of days, that you realise it's done in a more gentle one. In discussion group sessions, you just gently realise that there's a broad knowledge that you have, you may have forgotten that you had it, and it just brings it all back to the fore. The project to help a vulnerable group of people, which is what registered social landlords tend to deal with, anything that helps them to be empowered, not to rely perhaps on other people all the time, to do more and more for themselves, has to be a good thing. I think in the future it would be quite good if it could be expanded in general, because we're talking in the main, and unfortunately, about money. Debt is the biggest issue that a lot of the charities such as the CAB have to deal with. And so anything that can help and reduce people's reliance on other people and avoiding the pitfalls has to be a good thing. When I first thought about volunteering, you make the usual inquiries and you have a look. I mean, there's even websites. I mean, we have a website here in Liverpool where you can look on to see who is looking for volunteers. So there's a whole host of things that people might pick on. It can be helping people, say, through the CAB, which is what I do, but it could also be volunteering on something like a bird trust or a nature conservation, whatever. Whatever takes people's particular likes and dislikes and so on. But the process of becoming a volunteer is relatively simple and straightforward. You contact the people, they'll perhaps send you an application form out, which is perfectly reasonable, with personal details, and then go in and have a mild chat with who's ever in charge in enrolling you and so on. And usually they're desperate for volunteers, so they have some sort of initial training. And it's not training, again, which you have to pass or fail. It does help you to assess in yourself while you're undergoing it, is it what you want to do? But it's there to provide you with some of the information and tools to move on to become a volunteer. And most of them will offer some in-house training and progress and support, but they want you to stay as a volunteer, so they will support you through whatever. And people shouldn't be afraid of undergoing. Again, it will show you positively what you know and what is useful in the roles that you're thinking of doing. It'll add to what you don't know, so make you a better volunteer. But you have plenty of support there, and people should look on it as support rather than any pass or fail. That's gone and gone. They want you to do it, so get out there and do it. From a personal point of view, having worked in a reasonably structured environment for 40 years, a couple of days a week spent volunteering adds that little bit of structure back in my life, which I think a lot of people, because retirement is not just going on holiday all the time and enjoying oneself, it's also putting a bit back into society, giving it purpose. You know, there's got to be a reason to get up in the morning, to use the trite sort of phrase. But you meet other people, you're meeting different people. Life is about meeting people, it's all about people. And you're meeting different volunteers who come from different backgrounds, laughing a joke with them, whatever, if you have a social occasion with them. And it adds to the spice, it just adds to the whole variety. So I'd encourage people, you can sit at home all day long, but get out and do something. It's what you put into it.